This is a Gear Network production.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy, Mr. Perez, and you're listening to the Better Live Than Dead podcast, brought to you exclusively on Gear Network. Listen in.
Welcome to episode 21 of the Better Live Than Dead podcast.
Hey, man, you got that correct.
I got it right this time.
21.
Last week was episode 20, but for some reason I kept saying it was 19.
Yeah, man.
I don't know what's going on with that one, but it's episode 21. We're here. We're live in the Wolf Den studio.
That's right. And Ryan is finally caught up to the present.
Yes.
He was a week behind.
I'm here, ready to go. Myself, Ryan Wolf, across from me, Mr. Perez.
What's up, peoples?
In our makeshift studio, which is getting more legit by the week.
That's right.
It's nice.
I'm liking it.
But first off, we're going to start off this week with our new segment that we discussed about last week and have been talking about ever since. I've got Perez getting a little antsy because...
Wait, we're going to start off the show with it?
We're going to start the show off with a thing we call Storytime with Mr. Perez.
Yes.
Perez did not know this until he got here today, but we created a bumper for him.
Oh, boy.
And he has not heard it yet, so...
This will be interesting.
Without further ado, I give to you Storytime with Mr. Perez.
Gather round, kids. It's Storytime with Mr. Perez.
I like the kids cheering. I don't know about that voice. That's kind of creepy.
Garage Band.
Was it?
Yeah. Tony over at Fortune Studios, I gave him a quick shout after the podcast and said, we got to make something.
Right.
And 25 minutes later, he comes back to me with that, and I said, that's perfect.
That's hilarious. Kind of creepy, but hilarious.
Well,
I like the kids.
It's hard. It's
cheering.
hard to.
That's funny.
It's maybe we could recreate it with your voice if you want to at some point. Then, but it's really hard to fake your voice.
Right.
So that was his voice just turned really low.
Really low.
Really low.
That's hilarious.
Now, last week you mentioned you've got some good stories about your time working security in Orlando. So we'll start off with that today if you want to. We've got a few things to talk about today in this segment. So if you want to, you don't have to make it too long, but certainly.
Well, you want to know, like last week when I talked about my adventures working for ADT, I did say, ask me how we got sales.
That's how I'm asking you.
Is this that's the story you want to go with?
What I'm asking.
All right. So, as I mentioned last week, worked for ADT, and there was a bunch of things that happened there when I worked for ADT. Obviously, the one guy that I rode with on a regular basis was in a boy band, like we mentioned last week, met Britney Spears. But when I lived in Orlando, it was going through a real estate boom. There was lots of new housing complexes going up, housing tracts. And, one of my problems with all those housing tracts is that a lot of the houses look alike. Like, that annoys me. But we would go to all these new housing tracts, and we would visit with the new owners of the homes, and, we would present to them the ADT advantage of home security. And it was funny because 9 out of 10 times when we would go into a home, the people weren't interested in getting security.
That's interesting.
And we would say, listen, you got a brand new house. You might as well protect your investment, protect your family. And they would be like, nah, we're good. This is a really safe area. It's brand new. It's all in the suburbs. And so we were struggling to make money. We got our checks every week, but it wasn't what it could be.
I've already got a bad feeling about this one.
Well, hey, it wasn't what it could be if we were actually selling the home security solutions. So all my life, I've hung out with crazy people. And when I lived in Orlando, that was really no different. It was just a new group of crazy people. So me and the dude I rode with came up with an idea on how to sell more home security solutions. So I approached some of my friends one day, and I was like, hey, listen, here's what we want to do. We'll give you addresses of people that we've visited who don't want home security in these new tracks. And then we'll pay you like $25 to go break into this house. I'll pay $25 a house. And so, a couple of people were like, "You're crazy." I was like, "No, I'll give you $25 a house. You don't even have to steal anything. Just break into the house. Leave the front door open. Leave a window open, like on the second floor. You don't got to steal anything. If you want to, if you want to drop something off, feel free. Leave them a lava lamp. I don't care." Yeah. But so a couple of my boys were like, "Actually, you know what? That'll be fun. I think we'll do that." And so we started paying a couple of guys $25 a house, and they'd go break in, and we would go visit someone. They'd say no. A week later, the house get broken into. A day later, they're calling us back like, "Hey, our house got broken into. We need you to come back. We want to buy homes. We want to buy ADT home security." And so for a while, like, we were rolling in the dough. I mean, we were pushing out all types of home security systems. And so we started to have to like shake it up. Like, listen, don't go to the same track like 4 times in a row. Like, we'll go to this track over here. We'll go to this complex over here. But here's the funny part. So one of the homes that my one dude broke into had a brand new puppy. Like it was like a 2-month-old puppy. And he broke into that house several times just to play with the puppy. Literally, he would call me up. He would call me up like, "Hey, I broke into the house again." And I'd be like, "Why?" And he'd be like, "I just wanted to play with the puppy."
Oh my God.
And so after like 6 times he broke into the house to play with the puppy, that house finally called me for security. Finally. And the funny part was, because they would keep the puppy in a cage, so he wasn't like pooping and stuff all over the house during the day. And so they would get home and the puppy would just be roaming free, like eating toilet paper.
And you finally got it.
Yeah.
Jeez. That's good.
Yeah, it was hilarious. It was real funny. One guy almost got caught once, and he had to jump out of a 2nd-story floor window, and he like messed up his ankle really bad. And the people saw it, heard the commotion, and almost got him, but the back of their house was just some woods, so he snuck into the woods, and he spent like all night in the woods because he couldn't walk.
Jesus.
And then the next day he calls me up like, "I need you to come get me. I can't walk." I was like, "Why? You spent all night in the woods? You should have called me." Was like, as soon as they stopped looking for you should have called me. Nah, dude, that's how we got our sales. It was quite humorous.
Hey, whatever you got to do to make a buck. I mean, that's kind of...
The only place we didn't do that to was we got a call once to go visit this house. And, I'm Puerto Rican. Mm-hmm. And when I was in Orlando, I was in the sun all the time. So I was dark. Like, I looked Puerto Rican. And the guy that I rode with, he was white. He was pale like you.
Thank you.
No problem. And we get a call to go out to this house. And it was about 40 minutes outside of Orlando. And, you'd think Florida, obviously it's in the South, but it's not, when you think Florida, you don't think like South. You don't think Alabama South. You don't think like Kentucky South. So we got called out to this house, and we pull up to the house, and it had a big French window in the front with a rebel flag.
Oh, God.
With the stars and bars, like the rebel flag. And there was 2 dudes sitting on the front porch, both holding the leashes of a big Doberman Pinscher. And it was the first time in my life, I'd always heard the term redneck, but it was the first time in my life where I saw 2 dudes who actually, like, their necks were red. Like, they were rednecks, like, for real. And they had, like, 3 cars in the front yard that were on concrete blocks, and so we pull up, and I was like, "Yeah, right, dude, this is you. Like, I'm not getting out of this car. Like, I'm not getting out of this car because I will get shot or they'll sick the dogs on me."
Jeez.
I was like, "You're white. They obviously like the white people. Go sell yourself some security." That was the only house we told our dudes not to go break into.
Yeah, that would be a good idea because I feel like those people have their own.
Yeah, I was like, why do you even call us?
Exactly. Next thing I want to talk about was some big news broke yesterday. Well, not yesterday. Some big news broke. Let me try this again.
Okay.
Some big news broke this week.
Right.
It's the 21st episode of the Better Live Than Dead podcast, and I still try to date the damn thing.
It's all good.
The United States and Cuba apparently have some diplomatic ties again. They're friends. We're friends with Cuba again. Now
yes.
that's it is what it is for the government side of things and what it'll do for each person and whatever. But the big thing that I want to ask you about, and naturally, is Cuban cigars.
Right.
Should we get excited? What's the deal? Tell me more.
Well, for those of you who don't know in listening land, I'm a big cigar guy. I've been smoking cigars for over 20 years. I work part-time at a cigar shop where we make, manufacture, wholesale our own product. Master Roller's been in the business for over 50 years. I have a big cigar blog that's followed by over 250 of the biggest cigar companies. I get sent free cigars to sample and put on my blog. So I'm not just your average, typical, like I like a cigar type of guy. Like I'm all about the cigar life. I find cigars to be relaxing. I find cigars to be enjoyable. I love cigars. I love the art of the cigar and all that comes with that. So when I give you my opinion on the whole Cuban cigar thing, it's not just as a casual observer. I smoke Cuban cigars on a pretty regular basis. I get 1, 2, 3 a month that I tend to smoke. So I can't tell you how many people contacted me yesterday with this whole, hey, Cuban cigars, woohoo, type of thing. Now listen. The first thing you need to know is that while, yes, the United States has reestablished certain ties with Cuba, they're not easing up on the embargo. They are allowing people who go to Cuba to bring back about $400 worth of product, be that tobacco, liquor, whatever. And they're saying that, let's say me and you go to Niagara Falls or Toronto today, we could come across the border and we're not really going to get harassed like we used to. But you're not going to see any retailers anytime soon carrying Cuban cigars. And if you go into a retailer and they tell you they got Cuban cigars right now, they're lying. Because the embargo itself is not being lifted. Now, with that being said, if the embargo does get lifted, yes, the retailers in this country are going to get swamped with Cuban cigars. The fact of the matter is Cuba has been stockpiling cigars for the past 50-some-odd years to send here. Now, here's what's going to happen. If you go over to Canada and you buy Cuban cigars, they're expensive.
Yeah. But are they worth it?
I will get to that.
Okay, sorry.
It's all right.
I'm trying to do my best as an interviewer.
No, I understand. I completely understand, and I appreciate it.
Continue, please.
When we get the Cuban cigars, they're going to be stupid expensive, dumb expensive. You'll have some that are probably okay price, but for the most part, we're talking, I wouldn't be surprised, $20 and up. Which right now is reserved for, like, if you get a Cuban, like if you get a Dominican cigar that's $20 and up, it's probably a very special cigar. The tobacco is probably rare. It's been aged for a while. For instance, if you come into the shop that I work at, Santiago Cigar Factory, we have one cigar that costs $20. It's called the San Fernando. When we bought the tobacco to make the San Fernando cigars, there was 12 bales of it on the planet. Which in the overall scheme of things,
it's not much.
Is very limited tobacco. So $20 for that cigar is reasonable. Now, Cuban cigars at one time were considered the best on the planet. I'm not going to deny that. At this point, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion now, other companies have caught up. You could get cigars from Nicaragua, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, that are just as good, in my opinion, as a Cuban cigar. Here's the thing. When you're growing tobacco, a lot of these companies nowadays buy tons of plots. So you have lots of acreage. So they could grow tobacco on certain fields, and then obviously it's all a big portion of that is the nutrients and the vitamins in the soil that goes into the tobacco plant. So they'll crop on certain fields for a couple of seasons, and then they'll move over to the next fields, and they'll let the fields that they were growing on before rest. So you get the opportunity to let the nutrients replenish itself in the soil. Cuba hasn't been able to do that in 50 some odd years. So you have these fields constantly being used. So is the product worth the price you're going to be paying? Not in my opinion. Are they the best cigars on the planet? Not anymore. Are they really good? Yes.
So I guess what you're saying is that the mystique of it will be larger than anything.
Yes.
The fact that you could sometime in the future, I don't know if it's the near future or the far future, but sometime in the future, it seems you'll be able to go to a store and buy a Cuban cigar.
Right. And, I got into a couple of debates yesterday with people online, the old interwebs. And
you never shy away from that.
Nah, not really. And, someone was saying that the great thing about this is that the embargo ends, is that the tobacco farmers of Cuba will finally start getting money and they'll finally start getting rich. Well, here's the thing. The United States is the only country in the world that doesn't carry Cuban cigars. So you have every other country that carries cigars with Cuban cigars. A lot of the countries predominantly have Cuban cigars. So it's not like Cuba's not making money on cigars. But here's the thing. The tobacco farmers aren't going to make any money on this. Because when Castro took over, he took over the entire cigar industry. So while there's several different cigar brands, quote unquote, on the island, they're all state run. So the tobacco farmers aren't going to make an additional amount of money. They're still going to get paid what they get paid now.
I was going to say it's not like Cuba's democratic now. Cuba is the same old place. It's just that they want to be friends with America now.
Which I don't blame them.
No.
Yeah. So
I mean, it surprises me. I'm not a big politics guy. I know we've discussed that before. It's more of a conversation for Get Ready America. But
right.
I was shocked when I heard the news yesterday because it's not something you expected to happen. But
no, well, they've been talking in secret for a year, which is interesting.
And it's also interesting to me that obviously because Cuba is very Catholic, but which would it makes sense why the Pope helped out. But whenever you hear the Pope is mediating a deal, that's a pretty big deal.
That is a big deal. It is a big deal. But I mean, you will get. I've had some Cuban cigars that this last year that are phenomenal, and then I've had some that were just crap on a stick. So,
I guess if anything, you'll be busy.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But, like I said, I mean, people who think that the Cuban tobacco growers are finally going to get money, you're wrong.
Yeah.
It's going to be how it is, how it's always been. You got that 99% they're going to get all the money. I'm sorry, you're going to get that 1% that's going to get all the money, and 99% is not going to get all the money. Now, let me tell you real quick the difference between how Cubans roll their tobacco and how the other nations, basically, who make cigars roll their tobacco. Cuban cigars tend to have a very tight draw. The Cuban people like the tight draw, so what they do is, when you roll a cigar, you basically have three main components. You have the filler leaf, you have the binder, and then you have the final wrapper. Dominican Republic, Nicaragua, Honduras, their cigars, they do not wet the filler leaf. You want the filler leaf to be a little loose. When you wet it, it makes it tight. And when it finally ages, the tobacco will expand a little bit, causing a tight draw. And I've had Cuban cigars this year that were completely undrawable. Like I'd be able to light it, but then a puff was just about impossible on it. I've had Cuban cigars where I've taken like 4 puffs off of this year and had to set it down because I wasn't able to smoke it. So the rest of the world, they leave their filler dry. Cubans wet their filler. So it causes a completely different type of draw, like I said. I mean, you get a very tight draw, and it's not for everybody. So it's a completely different type of cigar. If we were talking 20 years ago, they would still have the best cigars on the planet. But I'll take a cigar from my shop, frankly. I'll put my cigars up against anybody, basically. And I'll take, my father cigars. Don Pepe Garcia, he is from Cuba. I'm happy for these people because they'll be able to visit their family again.
Yeah.
They'll be able to go back to their country, which is cool. But as far as the cigars go, it's going to be interesting because what's going to happen is you're going to get all those people who like going to Canada to get a cigar because, oh my God, it's Cuban. You're going to have that happen a lot. You're going to have a bunch of newbies who are going to go buy cigars because this Cuban.
Well, you know what? If they want to keep doing that, we can just smoke all the good cigars while they go out and smoke the crappy ones. I mean, that's no problem with me.
Oh, yeah. No, that'll happen. But I'm just saying, you're going to have a bunch of newbies buying stuff,
yeah.
right? That. And there's going to be a big boom for maybe the first year. Big boom. Tons of people are going to be like, oh, my God, I can get Cubans. And they're going to go buy Cubans. And they're going to be people who don't really know a darn thing about tobacco. While I think you'll see a lot of the big cigar guys, people like me, who are going to be, happy to get them. Mm-hmm. But it's not going to be our cigar of choice.
Yeah.
Just because at this point, the rest of the world is caught up.
Exactly.
Or even surpassed them.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
This is why you're the man to go to about the cigars. You could talk for a couple days on this
I really
stuff.
could.
I mean, and it's interesting to learn, too, because it's like when we go to sports and we talk about sports and people say they like to listen to us because we are educated. It's fun because I'm learning. I'm learning some stuff.
That's good, because you have a hard time with that sometimes.
I do. Sometimes I just sit here and I just stare blankly at the wall, and you're just like, did you get that? No, I didn't get it. But
well, I prefer you staring blankly at the wall than staring blankly at me. So that's good.
Perez, I can't help it. Real quick, before we go to commercial break, one last thing you wanted to mention. Kobe Bryant versus Michael Jordan.
Kobe Bryant versus Michael Jordan. Listen, I'm tired of people with this argument. When Kobe surpassed Michael for third place on the all-time scoring list, there was a ton of news people, sports people out there who are now saying this proves that Kobe is better than Michael. This proves that Kobe should be considered above Michael Jordan as the greatest of all time. Excuse me. And to those people, I would just like to say, poppycock.
I knew you were going to say
shut your mouths.
Well, it's like the same thing with Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. You show me Peyton Manning who has
one
every he's gonna, by the time he retires, he'll have almost every offensive record.
Yes,
known to man.
But he's got
career
one ring.
But he has one Super Bowl ring.
Right.
You show me a guy who has as many rings as Tom Brady or as many rings as Michael Jordan, and then we can talk about the best ever.
Now listen. Kobe Bryant had the opportunity to pass Michael for championships. He's got 5 rings. Michael's got 6. He had the opportunity to get more, but he pushed Shaquille O'Neal out of L.A.
Looking back on it, that was probably one of the dumbest things ever.
Well, Shaquille went to the Miami Heat the next season and won the championship. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just ego. It's all ego with Kobe. It always has been and always will be.
It is.
If he didn't push Shaq out, they would have had an insane amount of titles.
Oh, absolutely. They absolutely would have. But Michael started his career in 1984. Mm-hmm. He retired for the last time in 2003.
Last time retired.
Right. So he had just under a 10-year career. 6 of those years he won championships. Kobe started in 1996, and he's still playing. So we're creeping up on 18 seasons now. Excuse me.
You're okay.
So we'll call it 10 seasons, Michael Jordan scored enough points to become third on the all-time scoring list.
Kobe Bryant.
No. Michael Jordan.
I thought you were still talking about Kobe, sorry.
No.
Yeah, Michael Jordan did it in little time. Kobe's done it a lot of time. We talked about it before, too.
Yes. I mean, Kobe has taken much more time.
Yeah, well, he owns I almost said NHL record, the NBA record for most shots missed.
Right.
I mean, the dude does not shy away. There's never been a shot he has not wanted to take.
Exactly. And we have to realize Jordan retired for 2 years.
Well, retired.
Well, I mean, he went and played baseball.
He got kicked out because he was gambling and they didn't want to ban him from the sport. So they said, go play baseball for 2 years and then you can come back.
He went and played baseball. We'll go with that.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, we know the truth. Yeah, I mean, that's what you just said is what really happened, but we'll say he played baseball.
Okay.
And in those 2 seasons, he could have been sniffing second all time. Mm-hmm. You know, so
could have won 2 more titles.
Right. Kobe Bryant has been MVP once. Michael Jordan's been MVP 5 times. Mm-hmm. Kobe Bryant was the NBA Finals MVP twice. Michael Jordan was 6 times. So in every single MVP, every single finals he played in, he was the MVP.
He was the guy.
So to me, the Kobe versus Michael argument is not a valid argument. There's really no comparison.
Yeah, it's just crap at a wall, see if it sticks. Because Kobe Bryant, of my lifetime, because I was born in 91, so I've seen, I haven't seen much. I didn't see much of Michael Jordan's career. I mean, I remember vaguely Jordan playing the Jazz in the NBA Finals. Vaguely.
Nice. I watched the ball.
With it was John Stockton and Karl Malone were playing for the Jazz at the time.
Okay. Who, by the way, would win a championship if Michael Jordan wasn't playing?
Yeah.
Just those two are awesome.
Oh yeah, they were fun to watch.
Yeah, but you can't get over the Jordan up.
Utah doesn't deserve anything.
Yeah.
But I remember that vaguely. But in my lifetime, Kobe Bryant's been the guy. I mean, as long as I've known. So it more or less seems to me like it's you get the guy of the time. Like in 10, 15 years, it'll happen again. We'll have a guy who is really good, and then they'll say, well, is he the Kobe Bryant of his era? And then was he the Michael Jordan of his era? It's just, it'll never end.
No,
it's a vicious cycle. Painful because we all know the truth.
LeBron James was supposed to be this era's Michael Jordan. And guess what? He's not this era's Michael Jordan.
I don't think we'll ever see a Michael Jordan again.
No, never. He's arguably the greatest player of all time.
Yeah.
I would put him either 1 and Bill Russell 2, or you could reverse that. Bill Russell 1, Michael Jordan 2. I mean, those two, I think, to me, are the 2 greatest players ever.
Yeah, not a bad twosome right there. Well, this has been an extended story time with Mr. Perez. I'm sure every week it will not go 30 minutes, but hey, we got to start it off right.
Yeah, but it was 3 stories this time now. And then you asked me about Cuban cigars and cigars. I could talk about that forever.
We got to start it off right here on the Better Live Than Dead podcast. When we get back from these commercial breaks, Major League Baseball is the topic of conversation. Big moves have been happening this past week. A lot more moves. The hot stove is still...
Which is crazy.
Burning up, even after the winter meetings. So you're not going to want to miss this. Stick around for more of the Better Live Than Dead podcast right after these commercial breaks.
While you're listening to this podcast, make sure you follow us on social media. You can follow me at WolfSHC on Twitter. You can also follow Mr. Perez at MRLGPerez. Make sure to like the podcast on Facebook. That's Facebook.com/BLTD Podcast. And make sure to follow Gear Network on Twitter at GERE Network.
This free and independent sportscast is made possible when you shop the Gear Network store through Amazon. Visit GearNetwork.com and click on the Amazon banner to shop through Amazon's thousands of products at great prices delivered right to your front door. Again, that's GearNetwork.com and click the Amazon banner at the top.
We are back here on the Better Live Than Dead podcast talking Major League Baseball now. Big news week. As last week was, as the week before was. It's been
crazy.
Absolutely hands down the craziest hot stove if I've ever seen, that I can remember in my lifetime. Start off at the top. Outfielder Alex Rios and starting pitcher Edison Valquez have signed with the Kansas City Royals. Kind of what I expected to happen. Not with the players, but with the with Kansas City making some big moves this offseason. Because if you prove to Major League Baseball that you are a contender and you're a few parts away from winning a world championship, you might be able to get those guys looking to be the final piece to the puzzle. What's with the face?
Dude, I'm sorry. I'm looking at you all confused. I know we're talking about baseball, but I just got an email.
Okay.
I ordered a gift for my father yesterday for Christmas on NFLshop.com.
Yeah.
And I just got an email saying it was delivered today. You know what I did not pay for? Overnight shipping.
That's interesting.
That's very interesting.
Well, I remember I ordered a CJ Spiller jersey a while back, and it took 2 weeks to get here because it shipped from Buffalo, from the team store in Buffalo,
which we're about an hour away from.
To Syracuse, to West Virginia. Sat in West Virginia for 3 days, then shipped back up to Syracuse, then shipped back over to my house, to Henrietta, then had to be shipped to the post office, then had to be delivered to my house. So an hour drive, I could have just gone and bought the thing.
Just could have bought it for yeah.
I figured it'd be easier to just save the gas because it would be here in a day or two now.
No, that's stupid.
But going back, Alex Rios, Edison Valquez at the Kansas City Royals. Seems like a very smart move after losing Billy Butler.
Right.
I don't know what Rios has left in a tank because I don't remember what his numbers are, but he I believe he was in Texas most recently.
I believe he was too.
But it's not a bad move for Kansas City because Valquez has been great in Pittsburgh. His numbers may drop a little.
I need to sneeze.
You're fine. His numbers, I should say, they may inflate. Bless you. His numbers may inflate a little being in Kansas City, but it'll be interesting to see how that works out for him because they've got a lot of good kids, as we saw last year. Interesting team. Speaking of interesting teams, very, very terrible transition there, but the Chicago White Sox continue to put the full court press on the free agent market. They signed outfielder Melky Cabrera this week, which, with the team that they're building right now, they are certainly trying to form themselves into a playoff contender through this offseason. They've been irrelevant for the past couple of years, but with the signing last week of Jeff Samardzija, or the acquisition of Jeff Samardzija, the signing of David Robertson, earlier in the offseason they signed Adam LaRoche, and now they've got Melky Cabrera. They certainly could be making some noise in the American League Central this season.
I think Rios was with Texans.
Texas, yeah. That's what I thought, yeah. Because he was with Chicago.
Yeah, not the Texans.
Years
That'd be
before
football.
he was with
Texas.
Years ago, before that, he was with the Blue Jays.
Yes.
Now he's with Kansas City.
Yes.
Sorry. You're fine. Speaking of the Central, it's really hard because there's not much to talk about here. It's just kind of listing the news and then just kind of throwing some parts at it and moving on, which is why I'm glad you took the ball and ran with it on your story time, because if not, the podcast probably would have been like 20 minutes this week.
The shortest podcast ever.
There's not really any news happening. It's just like, here's what happened, and we'll mention it and we'll talk about it. But
right.
Gavin Floyd, ex-White Sox pitcher, now signs in Cleveland. He gets a nice little chunk of change there. 1-year deal. He should help solidify that rotation. I mean, Cleveland is kind of a weird team. They're good, but they're not good enough.
Yeah, they've always been like right there on the cusp, and they've just never been able to get over that.
Yeah, they've got the pieces. I mean, headed off by Terry Francona,
right?
The manager. They've got enough pieces there to figure it out. I mean, last year Michael Brantley came out and had a career year, really showed that he can be the player they thought he could be. So maybe Cleveland will make the playoffs this year. But that Central, I'll tell you what, man, that Central is going to be fun to watch with Detroit, Kansas City, Cleveland.
I agree with you. I mean, that'll
Minnesota and Chicago.
They've done a good. Most of those teams have done a very good job of solidifying parts of their roster that needed to be solidified, and it'll be interesting.
I mean, they say you don't win championships in December, but these teams are certainly doing a good job trying.
Yes, they are.
Speaking of championships, I'm terrible with these transitions today, but I'm just going to go with it.
Yeah, but dude, you look tired, man. It looks like,
I am exhausted.
It's okay.
I stayed up too long watching too much Sons of Anarchy.
You hooked on that show?
Oh my god, dude! I'm hooked.
I heard it's good. I've never seen it, but I heard it was good.
I'm on season 4. I can't stop watching it.
Nice, okay.
But I went to bed last night at 1 o'clock, which is normal for me. I woke up at 9:30 and I was exhausted. But if I go to bed at 4,
that was 8.5 hours of sleep.
But if I go to bed at 4 and wake up at 10, I'm fine.
Okay, that's interesting.
It's weird. I'm a weird human.
Well, that's a true story.
Sergio Romo re-signed in San Francisco. He won't be the closer. He'll be the setup man. But it's still, I think it was 2 years, $15 million. A good deal to solidify the back end of the Giants' rotation in their defense of the World Series championship. Also, champion from the San Francisco Giants, Mike Morse, has moved to Miami to sign with the Marlins. They're quietly and not so quietly making some noise this offseason. Last week they acquired D. Gordon and Matt Latos. This week they signed Mike Morse, so they're filling things out for the first time in a long time.
Right.
The Marlins may be contenders in the National League East after signing Giancarlo Stanton to that massive deal, promising him they would certainly try to be contenders. They're going to be contenders this year, so that'll be.
He got good money.
Oh, you got stupid money.
Stupid money.
It'll be interesting to see how that NL East shakes out with the Mets
right
being on the upswing, the Phillies rebuilding.
The Mets have been irrelevant for so long.
The Braves, who no one knows what they're doing, we think they're rebuilding, and then the Marlins, who knows?
It'll be nice. I don't really like the Mets, but it'll be nice to see them make a little noise. They've been non-contenders forever.
Yeah, it's almost like baseball is better when both New York teams are doing good.
It's fun to watch, especially when they're doing the Subway Series type thing.
Looking at some trades now, I kind of just I'm hitting a wall in this segment of just pure exhaustion. I'll get through it though. Justin Ruggiano to the Seattle Mariners from the Chicago Cubs. Now there had been a rumored deal all week where the Seattle Mariners are going to acquire this guy that no one knew it was going to happen, and it was going to be a big deal. And then this trade happens, and everyone's like, that was the big deal? Now, Ruggiano is a good platoon guy. He'll play, I believe, right field. He'll platoon in right field for the Mariners.
Right.
It's not a bad deal, but it's certainly not that big blockbuster deal everyone was blowing smoke about. So
yeah, people were like, "Ooh, this is going to be awesome."
Maybe the Mariners have another deal up their sleeve, but for now,
they even made that noise that I just made when they were talking about it.
I might have to
kind of weird.
I might have to clip that and use it as an effect later. Another big trade, not really a massive trade, but is a big deal. The Tampa Bay Rays traded Matt Joyce to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, where they I believe they got a relief pitcher in return. Joyce was one of those guys in the lineup who was one of their anchors behind Evan Longoria for a while, but apparently Tampa is going to go full rebuild. Oh, excuse me.
They need to. They're another one of those teams that like they could possibly be good.
Well, they don't want to spend the cash.
Yeah, they don't. Which
and right
is stupid.
now, and right now it looks like they're really trending towards moving.
They have to. If they're not going to do what they're doing in Tampa Bay, they might have to. I mean, Tampa Bay doesn't really care. That's the one thing about Tampa Bay. Like, they like the Bucks, who suck.
Yeah.
They kind of don't really care about the baseball team.
Well, the problem with the baseball team is where it's located.
Right. That's true. I've been through there. It's an interesting area.
If I'm not mistaken, it's like a peninsula almost in that area.
It is. Parking kind of sucks too.
Well, the stadium sucks too, which is...
Well, yeah, that's true.
Stadium sucks 3, I should say. But speaking of the Tampa Rays, a 3-team mega deal. The best way to explain it this week, just consummated late in the week. The San Diego Padres acquired 2013 American League Rookie of the Year Will Myers, who has been slowly recovering from a wrist injury. Kind of a buy low. Hope to God it works out, because if you don't, you traded a lot of good pieces.
Right.
But they got Will Myers, Ryan Hannigan, Jose Castillo, and Geraldo Reyes. Tampa Bay Rays got Steven Souza, I believe is how you pronounce his name, who was a 2014 International League Most Valuable Player from the Nationals. Rene Rivera, Burt Smith, Jake Bowers, Travis Ott. And the Nationals, who most people have said got the best part of the deal, acquired the the eighth best prospect pitcher Joe Ross, and then a player to be named later, which will end up being the Padres' fifth best prospect Trey Turner. But he was drafted last year, so he's prohibited to being dealt within 1 year of signing his first professional contract. So he'll join the Nationals organization after June 13th of 2015. But, I mean, on paper, Will Myers is a big deal.
Right.
So is Steven Souza. I mean, he had trouble when he came up. He's 25 years old. He made, if you remember correctly, he made the diving catch in Jordan Zimmerman's perfect game.
Yes.
Was it a perfect game or was it a no-hitter? I
think it was a no-hitter.
Either way, it was awesome.
That's a big trade, dude. That's a lot of
11 players. With 3 teams. That kind of explains to you right now the magnitude of this offseason.
Yeah, that's a lot of people being shuffled around.
Padres have new management and they're going for it. I mean, they have yet to acquire Matt Kemp because people on the right side of things have said that it sounds like San Diego's trying to squeeze Los Angeles for a few more bucks.
Right.
Because they made the deal last week, and at the time of the recording of this podcast on Thursday, today is the deadline for the deal to be consummated. They have to say yes or no today.
Right.
So they may be trying to switch some prospects in that deal or get some more cash, because I'm assuming, and this is just from a baseball fan's perspective, Matt Kemp's physical and his medical records have to be an absolute nightmare.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he's been hurt on and off and had lingering injuries, and it seems like bad news, but, I mean, San Diego wants Matt Kemp, and with Matt Kemp and Will Myers in the outfield, they've got their 3 and 4 hitters right there.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of people got some really good pieces in that trade. We'll see if it works out for everybody. I
mean, Tampa is more or less going for buy low, sell high, or buy low and hope to God you can, because these guys are all under control for a while.
Right.
So you get guys who you can control, and hopefully they give you good value for the little amount of money you're paying them, which is how Tampa's been for years. But we'll see how that one works out. But this Major League Baseball hot stove has just been boiled over, on fire, white hot, whatever you want to say. It's been crazy. And it's not even done yet, because there's still some big names out there. There's still some big trades that can be consummated.
Yeah.
And
there's still teams that need to make moves.
A lot of teams that need to make moves. I mean, I know the Yankees need to make some moves. The Red Sox need to make some moves.
Oh, speaking of that, last week, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, we talked about the Yankees not really doing anything, and then they made a move, which was kind of cool. But I don't really feel like it was enough.
Well, they're slowly making moves.
Yeah.
I mean,
they got to do something to keep up with the Red Sox.
Sorry, my mother called me.
Suck?
My mother called me. I have to text her.
Oh, you got to answer your mommy. I completely understand, dude. I was going to make fun of you, but I do the same thing.
If I don't, she'll be like, "What the hell's going on?" You know.
Podcasting, Mom.
That's what I said. Yeah. Sorry.
It's all good.
But
hi, Mrs. Wolf.
The podcasting is important. Baseball is important. It's December now. I can't wait. Once the New Year rolls around, it's baseball time.
It's getting close.
I'm jacked up for it, dude. Right now, I can't really show how jacked up I am for baseball, because I have about 35% energy right now. But
I can tell. But yeah, it's getting close.
It's getting close, and it's going to be a lot of fun with all these moves. And
looking forward to it.
Seeing the one thing I always get excited about is seeing the old players in new uniforms. For some reason, it's always interesting to me.
Yeah, it depends on how long they've been in the league, though.
Well, seeing Matt Kemp in a Padres uniform is going to be weird.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be very odd.
But seeing Will Myers in a Padres uniform, it's kind of like, okay.
Right.
I'm glad he's out of the American League East, but
right.
I'll never forget what he did in Boston in that playoff game when they were headed to the World Series that year. He thought someone was catching the ball behind him and let off, and the ball just fell in front of the bullpen. And the Red Sox completed an improbable comeback. And
right.
Never let him. Red Sox fans have never let him live that down, and they won't. They won't ever let him live that down, because
you can't.
That's absolutely hilarious.
That's ridiculous.
But like I said, I just hit a wall again.
It's all good.
I went to go say something. Nothing came out.
It's okay.
Big week in Major League Baseball. I'm sure we'll have another big week next week. I know this week kind of started off slow, but then it just clicked right on, and things just went nuts. So
Well, whenever you have 11-player trade,
that was the cherry on top.
Out of anywhere, out of the blue, it's kind of nuts.
We're going to head to commercial break right now. When we come back, we'll be more energized
Commercials.
to talk National Football League. We've got Thursday Night Football.
Oh man, we got an awesome game this week of Thursday Night Football.
Got a doozy. You got a barn burner.
It's going to be, dude, I don't even know how they put together such an awesome game.
With that cliffhanger, we will be back right after these commercial breaks here
It's going to be incredible.
on the Better Live Than Dead podcast.
John Cimino here, a.k.a. JC Money, inviting you all of you listeners, to join us on the Gear Radio Network once a week for Get Ready America, where JC and DC, the executive producer, my co-host Don Cimino, will be talking news, sports, whatever comes to our mind. It's a variety show that goes all over the place. It's awesome. You should check it out on Gear Network every week.
Do you enjoy listening to Better Live Than Dead, but you're not always by your laptop to hear it on GearNetwork.com? Not to worry, we've got you covered. Better Live Than Dead and all other Gear Network podcasts can now be heard on iHeartRadio, iTunes, in the Zune Marketplace, on SoundCloud, Spreaker, Stitcher Radio, and on TuneIn Radio. So make sure you get one of the aforementioned apps to stay up to date with the latest Gear Network podcasts.
Hey, has anybody seen Grandma?
Grandma got run over by a reindeer, walking home from our house Christmas Eve. You can say there's no such thing as Santa, but as for me and Grandpa, we believe.
Back here on the Better Live Than Dead podcast.
Hello.
Talking National Football League. First off,
Yes.
we've got to discuss this major Thursday Night Football game we have going on tonight.
Dude, I don't even know how people could contain the excitement of this game. So much hinges on this game.
Yeah, like who is going to draft Marcus Mariota? Right now,
Pretty
Tennessee has the second overall pick. Jacksonville has the third overall pick. Both teams are 2-12.
Yes.
When I asked John Cimino about the game, our president, executive producer of the Better Live Than Dead podcast, he told me I am going to pick whatever program runs up against Thursday Night Football. And I thought that was a good one.
That's a good one.
But
you know what, though? I'll watch some of it just because it's football. And
it's football. Well, and the best part is it's bad football, and usually when you have two bad teams playing bad football, they usually produce a pretty good game.
Yeah, it can be very entertaining at times.
I mean,
it could just be a snoozer.
We all picked Jacksonville.
Right.
Because of Blake Bortles.
Yes.
Because Charlie Whitehurst is playing for the Titans. And I feel like the Titans are a lot worse than the Texans. The Titans are a lot worse than the Jaguars.
Yeah.
That's the team I'm looking for. They're a lot worse than the Jaguars. And
we'll see.
Well, I mean, they're both, like I said, they're both 2-12, but
right.
I feel like Jacksonville may be on the upswing because they have a quote-unquote franchise quarterback.
Well, the good news at the end of this game for one of these teams is that they'll have 3 wins on the season, which is phenomenal for them.
Well, yeah, I mean,
unless they tie. How funny would that be?
They increased their win total by 33% tonight.
Right.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Unless they just get together before the game, they're like, hey, let's not increase our win total. Let's just go out there and get ourselves a nice little tie.
Exactly. I
think it'd be 2-12-1.
I'd quit. I would just quit. I'd quit football. Never watch it again. Looking over now on the West Coast, the San Diego Chargers dropped kind of not a really big bomb, but a noticeable nugget this week. They will not opt out of their contract and will remain in San Diego for at least one more year. Obviously, San Diego's lease with the city and with Qualcomm Stadium, it's a year-to-year thing. That
right.
Every February they can opt out and move. So I guess that leaves discussion because they want to put a team in Los Angeles quick.
Right.
And it sounds like next year could be the year. So the 3 teams were San Diego, St. Louis, and Oakland. I've already in my head drawn up that the Rams are moving to Los Angeles. So
really,
I'm trying not to get that confused. But St. Louis, San Diego, and Oakland are the 3 teams that are in the running for Los Angeles. And
instead of moving teams, I think we should just expand a little bit.
They don't want to expand anymore,
which is to me ridiculous because they want to expand. They want to expand the amount of games that people want to play,
and that won't happen either.
They want to get rid of two 2 preseason games and make a regular season, it's screw that.
Exactly. The 32 teams is good enough because if you add 2 more teams, you have to 17 and 17, and then the numbers are off, and you have to make it 18, so you have to put 36 teams in the league. That's why 16 teams works. It's the same thing with hockey. Like, why is hockey going to expand to 2 teams instead of 1 team? It's because they want to balance everything out. They want they want everything to make sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying just create an extra team. That would be weird. You got to have 2 to balance it out.
I don't think it's a good idea. I think just move a team. Move St. Louis because they've got, like I said, St. Louis is a bad spot.
They seem to be doing all right there, though.
They've got an okay stadium, but they needed to fix it. It's old. It's getting old. I should say.
That's true.
They asked St. Louis for money, and St. Louis said no.
Okay, well then out.
And then that triggered an out clause.
I'd be out too then. Bye-bye.
Well, they've been using it as leverage, and the owner of the St. Louis Rams bought, I think, 2 plots of land in Los Angeles. The old Hollywood racetrack, and I can't remember the other one, but it was like 60 acres of land.
Right.
So he's got the land to build a stadium, and it's going to cost a lot of money to move a team to Los Angeles. But you can, if you are the NFL's guinea pig to go to Los Angeles, it's a big thing.
NFL teams have left Los Angeles for a reason. The question is, if you build it, will they come?
I think so. Because the National Football League wants it to happen. And if the National Football League wants something to work, they'll make it work. Even if they have to pour a ton of their own cash and time and effort into it, they will make sure it works.
Right. Now, there's a lot that the NFL needs to work on to make things work.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's just... let's go back a couple weeks ago. Me and you got to a little online debate with a couple idiots about how the refs can influence the outcome of a game, specifically the Buffalo Bills game, which I don't know why they'd want to,
Exactly, I get what you're saying.
With the Buffalo Bills. But the fact of the matter is this. Some of the refs this season do suck.
Yeah.
They need to take a look at that. Okay, this past Sunday, there was a couple of plays where there were penalty calls that were not penalties.
Well, like I said on the face page, and I say to everybody, is that yes, there are some referees out there that are not good.
Right.
But that's why they have a grading system.
Yes.
And that's why when, like, Jerome Boger, however you pronounce his name, he's not. He always seems to be in the center of controversial calls during games.
They should look at that.
But why do you think you don't see him in the playoffs?
Oh yeah, right. Because exactly.
In the playoffs, it's one of those things where it's not. You get paid extra for it.
Right.
So it's kind of a bonus. Like, you did really good. We want you to be here.
Right. There's
a reason why the same group of guys is calling the playoffs and calling the Super Bowl.
Right.
And to be completely honest, the only reason they had Jerome Bogar ever be the head ref in a Super Bowl was because he was the first African American head ref in a Super Bowl. And if the NFL, for nothing else, the NFL is all about good PR, and that was a very good PR for them. Although he did, I believe, make some bad calls in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
So his history does precede him, but
yeah,
I'm not worried about the refs because it works itself out. I mean, yeah, there are bad calls here and there, but usually there's bad calls that go against you, then there's good calls that work in your favor, or bad calls that work in your favor.
Yeah, but like for instance, this week Russell Wilson took a hit that they called a personal foul.
Yeah,
it gave the Seahawks a 15-yard penalty, which changed the way that game was being played. And the hit was in his chest.
It seemed legal, yes.
Face mask.
But I think that's something. I think that's something in the offseason that they're going to start discussing, because I do believe shortly they're going to start allowing you to review hits to the head, hits to the chest, stuff like that. So not every play, but there's going to be someone up in the booth, kind of like now when they have the challenge to play. They'll say challenge that was a bad call. And it'll put a bigger microscope, or it'll put the referees under a bigger microscope, and
that needs to be done.
We'll force them to be better.
Why not let them just challenge everything within reason? But I think you should be able to challenge just about any type of call that there is.
I feel like they should have something set up like the National Hockey League, and I think they do, like a central ref location where
it's all in New York City.
Yeah, where they can say where the refs can look at. I know they have it for challenging now, but they need to have someone do that for hits to the head. Plays like Russell Wilson's, where it was a roughing the quarterback, leading with the crown of the helmet, because he wasn't.
He wasn't. He hit him with his face mask.
But the thing is, the other thing that I mentioned too in that conversation we had is, you tell me you're on that field as a referee, and when that happens, at the drop of a dime, you can go, okay, that was clean. On replay, it looks fine. We can look at replay and go, yeah, duh, how did you miss that? But then when you're standing there 10 feet away from it, watching it happen in real time, and you see a quarterback get crushed, and your job...
Yeah, but I don't know, because...
Your job as a referee is to protect the quarterback.
Yeah, but at the same token, you could tell when someone leaves with the crown of their head, or when they go face first. I mean, that's pretty obvious.
To us, it may be, but to those referees, it may not.
Yeah,
be.
but see, here's another problem. There's not one referee on that field that's under, 50 years old. So maybe it's time to get some fresh blood in there.
It's like a brotherhood. Once you're in, you don't get out until you die.
I'm just saying. They're a little older. They're a little more advanced in age. It's a little difficult for them to keep up with these young bucks that are playing on the football field.
It's nice to watch the playoffs because you get to watch some referees that aren't bad.
Right.
That if you watch a replay, you can go, yeah, I get why they called that. Where you watch games now and you see referees call stuff and you're like, the hell? Or you see guys blatantly get held. Like,
right.
I was watching the Bills game last week. There was a few plays where Jerry Hughes was mugged completely. Just hand in the jersey, just grabbing onto him. They don't call it. But sometimes refs let teams play. Sometimes they call things tight. I mean, it is what it is, But if anything, if a ref is bad, I mean, the only thing I can respect about a ref being bad is if they're consistent. Like, if you're going to call terrible...
Just be consistently bad.
If you're going to call terrible holding, call it on both teams. If you're going to call personal foul on that guy, call the personal foul on the other guy on the other team who's doing the same exact thing.
I hear you.
Like, don't tell me, oh, well, he hit Russell Wilson, so we're going to call it. But if you hit Mark Sanchez, you're not going to call it.
Right.
Like, call it for both of them. If you can... That's one thing I see among my friends on Twitter, and people that follow me and people I follow. They don't nobody likes bad refs.
Oh, no one does.
If they're consistently bad, that's fine.
You could give them a pass if they're consistently
because
bad.
It's like, okay, he just really sucks at this and doesn't know what he's doing.
So you don't think... let's talk about something else real quick. You don't think... Because you said if the NFL wants it, they're going to get it. So you don't think that they're going to get those 2 extra games they want?
No.
Why not?
It's all about money.
It is all about money. And if you got those 2 extra games...
They'd have to pay players more.
Right.
There's more liability. And in the day and age now where they're being sued because players are getting hurt.
Which is stupid. You know what you're getting into when you go into football.
Because they're getting concussions and they're dying young or they're committing suicide or abusing drugs. I find it tough for them to cut down the preseason and add more games to the season.
You said the NFL wants it, they're going to get it. So there's a very real possibility that they're going to get...
I think in that situation, I think that's way, way down the road.
What do you think about this idea?
Okay.
Get rid of the Pro Bowl, because no one really watches it anyway. And when the NFL players are there at the Pro Bowl, they're not really playing full out, because no one really wants to get hurt in a game that doesn't really mean anything. So what if you create some games that actually do mean something? So... why don't we steal an idea from college and come up with some bowl games? So you got the Super Bowl, which is the ultimate championship, but then take the 2 that finished in the respective league championships. Take those people, match them up against each other. They get money and maybe better picks. Like, that would be exciting to watch.
I feel like it's a fantasy.
I think that would be a good idea, though.
It would be interesting to watch, but it'll never happen.
I'm just saying.
I think the closest we are to getting more football is they're going to add an extra playoff team. So we will have a true wild card weekend. So there'll be the first week. It'll be all the division winners get a week off. The wild card teams play, and then the next weekend.
I think they should get rid of division winners. If you want to win,
that is something I think the other thing that's going to happen too, and sorry to cut you off, Perez, but the other thing that's going to happen too this offseason will most likely be the guaranteed home game. They'll automatically reseed after. So what'll happen is you'll get your 2 top division winners. They will get the bye.
Right.
And then after that, like, the only thing a division championship will get you now will be
Like a
playoff spot. No, it'll just be a playoff
spot. Just a playoff spot. Or like a pat on the back. Like, good job.
With the Saints.
Well, see, no, I don't agree with that. I think they should change that because like we've been talking all year about the NFC South.
Yeah.
And these teams suck.
Well, yeah, but here's the deal with that, is that they will get a playoff spot because they won their division.
I don't think they should get a playoff spot.
Listen. They do deserve it.
No, I don't think they do.
They're the best in their division.
It doesn't matter.
So you
got teams that are better than these teams not possibly getting a playoff spot.
So you're telling me that...
We seed 1 through 6, and the top 6 in your division, the top 6 in the NFC go. And if you're in the NFC South and you got a losing record, but the Philadelphia Eagles finish 11-5 and they've crushed you in the record, they should have the right to play.
So you're telling me that the NFC North doesn't deserve to have 3 people in the playoffs because they played the NFC South this season?
I'm telling you that the NFC South does not have should not have a playoff spot.
The only reason the Buffalo Bills won't make the playoffs this year, if they don't make the playoffs, is because the NFC North played the AFC North played the NFC South. That's it.
Okay.
Everybody in that division has at least 7 wins.
Right.
With obviously the Browns bringing up the tail end. So if the Browns can win one more game, every team in that division will be at least 500 because they played the NFC South.
Right.
I understand your sentiment, but the thing about it is that...
Yeah, but that's the AFC. I'm talking... Go ahead.
They play the NFC South. That's how the rules are. That's
I
how the schedule's
that.
set up.
I understand.
So it's almost an unfair advantage. It's like telling you Florida State's in the national championship game because they played 13 people who are useless and had no chance to beat them anyways. It's like you're telling me that if you put the Cincinnati Bengals up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that they won't win. Or you're telling me if you play the Saints against the I'm trying to think here off the top of my head. If you play the Ravens against the Buccaneers, the Buccaneers are going to beat the Ravens. No, the Buccaneers are a terrible football team.
Right.
Like, you know that division is going to crush the other division. The reason why there's 3 playoff teams is because they play that division. If they played anybody else, if the Bills play that division, the Buffalo Bills would likely have won 10 or 11 games and would be in the playoffs.
I really don't understand your argument.
The argument is that your not having division winners is not valid.
No, you can have division winners.
You have to have
a division winner, give them a trophy, give them a pat on the back, whatever. But if you're in the NFC South and you have a losing record, you do not deserve to be in the playoffs.
That's
you see the AFC 1 through 6, NFC 1 through 6, however you want to do it, 1 through 8. But if I'm in the NFC, we'll go with the East. I'll just use this as an example. Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles. One of those teams is not going to make the playoffs.
It's tough.
And
win the games you're supposed to win.
11-5. Let's say Philadelphia ends 11-5. They're not going to make the playoffs if Dallas wins out at 12-4.
It's tough.
But the NFC South is going to have someone represented with a sub 500 record. That's not right.
It is what it is.
Get rid of that. Get rid of that.
It'll
1 through 6, 1 through 8, whatever you want to do, get rid of that.
What you're going to get is you'll have...
It should be a true seeding program.
You'll have the winner of the South end up being, like if it was happening this year, the South would be the 6th seed.
Yes, but they're still going to get home field advantage.
You're never going to get it where they're going to get rid of divisions, or where they're never going to do the true seeding.
I'm just saying.
I understand what you're saying. It makes sense, but it'll never happen.
It should.
Because of the ridiculous amounts of tiebreakers and if this happened because that happened, this team's in, but if that happens because this team did this, because this team did that against that team, they're in. You know, it's just it'll never.
But if you go by pure record, that you have the opportunity to get your more football right there. If you go by pure record, you got to expand the season a little bit. If you got 2 11-5 teams in the same division, you can't figure out who's going to make it. Have them play against each other. Loser goes home.
Unfortunately, it will never work that way.
I'm just saying it should work that way.
College football's got a good system working. Where
they need to expand the playoffs.
They will, but they have to get things working first. They have to try it out and let things happen first. But in 5, 6, 7 years, I think college football will have the best system in terms of the playoff.
Maybe. I'm not really a fan of their system now.
I think this is the second time if the Saints don't win 8 games, I think it'll be the second time in NFL history ever that they've had a team under 500 in the playoffs. So when it happens in the season, people get pissed because it does seem ridiculous. but it rarely happens.
Yeah, well, they're going to get a home game against a team with a better record. No, that shouldn't.
And that they're going to change that in the offseason. That's what I was saying. They're going to. They've already discussed it. Because they want to make it happen where you get the first seed, you get the second seed. Obviously, if you have the best record, you're guaranteed the two top seeds. But a division win will no longer guarantee you a home game. It guarantees you a playoff spot, and then going into the playoffs, it'll be reseeded. Because I don't think the Saints or Falcons have any shot in the first round of the playoffs. But right now, you could have. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. You could have, Seattle, Arizona, Dallas, or Philadelphia ending up playing in New Orleans. Where New Orleans is terrible at home this year, but the Superdome is a home field advantage.
Right, it's ridiculous.
No doubt about it.
And people who say home field advantage doesn't matter, you need to check yourselves. Because home field advantage is huge.
And by the way,
especially in the playoffs.
I have to mention, during that argument, if I did stop making sense, I do apologize, because my brain kind of just stopped. Again, like this is the theme of this podcast. My brain is just stops.
I know I was throwing out some radical ideas at you.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to make them all. I'm trying to keep what I think is right, and then use what you're thinking is right. I'm trying to make them one thing. I do agree with you. I do agree. Get rid of the division winners. If you win the division, yes. You deserve a playoff spot. Absolutely. Because you're the best team in the group of teams that you're playing in.
Yeah, but if you still suck, you still suck. You don't deserve a playoff spot.
That will work itself out in the playoffs. Because if the Saints win the Super Bowl this year,
they're not going to.
Someone must have had a horrific football accident, because
they're not going to.
I see no way they make it out of the first round of the playoffs.
No. But they shouldn't be in the playoffs if there's teams with better records.
You know what? If you're gonna, let's put it this way: if you're gonna allow bad teams in the playoffs, don't give them a home game.
Well, yeah, I agree with that.
I can handle a 7-5 or 8-8 team being in the playoffs. Excuse me. If they're playing on the road,
I have a hard time with it, just because, I said, if a team has a better record, they deserve a spot more than you do.
If the AFC was bad, and say that the first wildcard team was 7-5. It would be very difficult for it to happen, but just hypothetically speaking, you would have no problem with a 7-9 team being in the playoffs if they were the wild card.
I would have an issue with that,
even if they were the best team, if they were the 5th and 6th best team in the AFC.
Yeah, but now you're saying that out of all the teams, that's a very weird hypothetical question, because we all know that there's no way in Hades there's going to be a bunch of AFC teams that you're basically saying there's going to be 4 teams with winning records and the rest of the teams are not.
You never know. This year we have a division with 4 teams that are potentially over 500 because they played a division where the NFC South can't get out of their way.
Right.
There's quite a possibility that once we could have a season where the NFC is just that much better than the AFC. Who knows? But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but that's
you have a. I'm just trying to poke holes in your argument, Perez.
But no, because if it's not going to work. Because even if you go with the current seeding, if you have teams that are sub 500,
I'm saying if
and
they're
the best, then they're going to get into playoffs anyway.
About changing the seeding,
right?
So you're telling me you have a problem with a team. Again, eliminate the home game. We agree on that one. Get rid of the guaranteed home game to a division winner. That's stupid. That's beyond stupid.
Okay.
But if you win the division, you deserve a spot in the playoffs somewhere, because again, like I said, you're in a group of teams. That's your division. If you win the division, you move on. It's like the college football playoffs. If you win your first game, you move on. And then you win again, you move on. Then you win again. You're in the championship. That's how it works out. That's the same situation here. You win your division, so you're guaranteed a playoff spot. Now then you have to win another game to move on. If you don't win that game, you're not good enough.
But that's how it is now.
Yeah, but the only thing I'm saying is the system they have now is not broken.
I don't think it's the best system. I think it is broken.
It's not, but the only way to improve it is to get rid of the home game. Because if you guarantee the top 6 teams in, then you're essentially devaluing the regular season.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
No, you're not. How are you devaluing the regular season? In the regular season, you play to make the playoffs. You play to win the Super Bowl. So if you're a sub 500 team, but you have a team over here in another division that has a better record than you, they deserve the playoffs more than you do.
Win the games you're supposed to win. If the Eagles don't make the playoffs, it's because you couldn't beat Dallas. It's because you know why the Eagles will miss the playoffs if they do, or the Cowboys will miss the playoffs if they do, because they sucked against the NFC. Because the Seattle Seahawks have a better record in the NFC than the Eagles and the Cowboys. Win the games you're supposed to win.
Well, they don't right now. The Cowboys have a better record than the Seahawks right now.
I'm saying in the NFC.
Right.
If they don't make the playoffs, it will be because of that. It will be because of their record in the NFC.
Right.
When the games
there's a team with a worse record that's going to make the playoffs than the Seahawks.
That's because they won their division.
And that's stupid.
No, it's not.
Yeah, that's absolutely stupid.
I've just discussed this with you for 15 minutes.
Right, and we're not going to agree.
If you win your division, you deserve to move on.
I don't think winning the division gives you the right to move on. I think winning your division, if you're sub 500 or if you're like 8-8, you'll get like good job. You get your little division title, whoop-de-doo. But this team over here had a better record. They deserve the playoffs better than you do.
It's tough.
It is, and I think it's stupid. I think it needs to be fixed.
It's one of those things where you say deal with it. Because I know why you're going to be mad. Because the Cowboys will, if the Cowboys lose to the Colts this week, they need a lot of help to make the playoffs.
Well, we're sitting on top of our division. We're going to make the playoffs if we win out.
Yeah,
if Philly loses and we lose, we still make the playoffs.
If Philadelphia loses, it's going to be huge.
Yeah, it will be.
If Dallas loses to the Colts, they can still make the playoffs. They just need a lot of help.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I'm not saying it because of that.
What I'm saying is that.
Okay, Ryan, you're a big Buffalo Bills fan. Big Buffalo Bills fan, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's say you're in your division, right? And let's say you're having a little better season than you are right now, and you, let's say hypothetically, your team finishes 10-6. Okay. And the team above you finishes 11-5. Okay, obviously that team has won their division. They're going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
But now let's go to the other AFC area where a team finishes, let's say, 8-8. Why do they deserve to get in the playoffs more than your team?
Because they won the division.
Well, that's stupid. Because your team deserves it because they got a better record.
And I don't think any major sports league right now does it the way you want it done. I don't. I think the NBA might go to it. They're talking about it in the NBA, but everybody else has divisions or conferences, they have conference divisions.
And you need those conferences. I just don't feel that the worst, best team in the conference deserves a playoff.
I get you, but if like I said, it's been this way forever.
You know what? People who listen. Tell us what you think.
Exactly.
On Twitter. Send us some Twitter. The only thing they need
to fix, I think, and I'm sure they'll fix it.
Let us know on Facebook.
It's only happened, like I said, this will be, if it happens, it'll be the second time in the National Football League history, if I'm not mistaken, because the Cardinals, 7-9, were the first ones, right?
Yes.
Didn't they go to the Super Bowl?
No. I don't think so.
They were. I can't remember. When the Cardinals, let me go check their record, because I feel like when they played the Steelers, they were not good.
Probably not.
Hold on. Keep talking, Perez.
I just, like I said, if people in the listening world tweet us, let us know what you think. Send us some messages on Facebook. Let us know what you think. Let Ryan know that he's wrong, that my idea is actually a very good idea.
Oh, sorry, they were 9-7 that year.
See, they had a winning record.
They were still 9-7.
They still had a winning record.
But like I said, it's only happened. This will be the second time it's happened in the entire history of the National Football League where a team is under 500. And it might not even happen because the Saints are kind of sputtering in the playoffs.
Kind of, yeah.
They're not inspiring any confidence.
No.
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, I think, like I said, I hope we made sense. But I think just the only thing out of that, you have to get rid of the home field advantage for guaranteed home field. If you earn it, fine. If you don't, fucking play the road game.
Yeah. I mean, if
like we both
goes
agree,
that way,
no
then
what,
definitely don't be home field advantage.
No matter what. I mean, the reason why I think they have the division and will continue to have divisions is because it creates good television, and good television, good games increase ticket sales.
Right.
Good games on TV increases viewership, which increases.
And that's why I think a Pro Bowl game being gone and like actually doing like a quote unquote bowl game in the NFL would increase television because
shockingly, people actually do watch the Pro Bowl and it does actually make the NFL quite a few dollars.
Really?
Shockingly, yeah.
Why have they tried to cancel it a bunch of times?
Because no one gave a damn about it in the league. but they found a way to make it useful and try to make it useful.
I don't think I've watched the Pro Bowl in years.
I mean, it'll probably come down to a point where they get rid of it just because there's no purpose.
I'm telling you, get a sponsor.
I would rather
throw a sponsor's name on a bowl game.
If you go watch ESPN in like January, they have that college football quarterback thing where they just.
I watch that.
I do too. It's fun. They should do something like that in the National Football League.
They used to. They got rid of it.
I want to see Peyton Manning throw a football through a tire.
That'd be fun.
Like in 30 seconds, you have to throw a football through 10 tires.
They used to do that. They got rid of it. Those were fun.
That would be fun to watch.
Yeah,
but I don't care about the Pro Bowl that much.
Me neither. But I'm saying if you tell the third or fourth place teams, hey, we're going to put you in a bowl game. It's going to be like the Qualcomm Bowl. You'll get extra money and you'll get better seating for your picks. Now I'd watch that. That'd be fun because now you're actually out there playing for something.
It's all about the injury risk. It's because they're professionals. The injuries and the money. It's all about money at the end of the day. And you'd have to like same thing with the 18 games. Why it will never happen or it won't happen for a while is because you have to pay the players more.
Well, I don't think the 18 games is going to happen because you don't want to get rid of those 2 extra preseason games because it's all about conditioning. It's all about getting into.
Well, no, because they would probably just make it so football is longer. So you would start preseason. Or you'd have training camp longer. You would have 2 less games, but you'd have training camp longer.
Right, but now you're losing games where you weed out people from your team. Yep. It's all about making a roster. You can't lose games where you determine who's going to be on the field because now you're just shortchanging people.
Well, it's the same thing like with the divisions, like we were talking about, Perez. It's all about the tradition. You don't change a 16 games. We've got 16 games and 4 preseason games. Training camp starts in July. Don't mess with that. The divisions it may every twice in 60 some years or whatever. It may be a problem, but again, that's why they tell you. That's why it's so important to be able to be the best in your division. I mean, because there will be years, like the Bills may end up 10-6 if they beat the Patriots in the Raiders. Will it suck if they don't make the playoffs? Absolutely, but you know what? It is what it is. If you go back in the season, you don't lose to like in the Bills case. If you don't lose to the Houston Texans and you can beat the Kansas City Chiefs, you're in the playoffs. That's what makes the NFL so interesting. If you're going to guarantee, no matter what, you're going to get a playoff spot because you're really good, where's the fun in that?
There's a lot of fun in that because there's going to be a lot of teams aiming to get better.
I would rather watch the Colts and Cowboys game this weekend, knowing that if the Cowboys lose, they're out of the playoffs essentially. Or like last week, watching the Eagles and Cowboys, going, you know what? I don't even care about these teams. But the fact of the matter is, whoever wins this game will most likely be in the playoffs, and the loser won't. That's exciting.
Yeah, but both teams are also good teams. They both have the same record. That's exciting.
Get better.
They are better.
Get better. If you don't make the playoffs, find out why. Get better.
If you don't make the playoffs at 11-5, there's a problem.
That's tough. Again, like I said, that's tough.
The only thing makes it 8-8.
I will.
It's a problem.
I will walk that line to the end of the day. The only thing I think you got to get rid of, and I'm sure you'll agree, Perez, is the guaranteed home field advantage.
Well, yeah, they got to get rid of that too. I agree with that.
Which is something that will probably happen this offseason.
We'll see.
Because they're getting smarter about it. Because a lot of fans complain like you and I do on our podcast.
Right.
I think it's stupid the Saints get rewarded for being bad, but in terms of home field advantage, but I think get a playoff game because what's going to happen is they're going to get destroyed.
Probably.
Because they'll play the Packers or they'll play the Seahawks or they'll play the Lions. Like right now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Saints would be the 4 because they would be the worst of the division winners.
Yes.
So they would play the 5 seed, who will probably be, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, either the Cardinals, because I think Seattle ends up the 1 seed if they beat the Cardinals this week. And
yeah, it's the seeding right now is so crazy.
Well, everything can change.
Everything.
Like you go on ESPN to the playoff machine, and I spent 25 minutes on it before you got here, just messing around, and you click one game, and everything switches around.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's kind of cool, like this happening, but at the same token,
I like it that everything is so fluid so late in the season.
Right.
But we know maybe the Cardinals, if the Cardinals play the Saints, it may not be a guaranteed victory, but the Cardinals' defense is good.
Oh, the Cardinals' defense is real good.
If you play the Packers, good luck. If you play the Lions, good luck. If you play the Cowboys or Eagles, The Saints aren't going to make it out of the first round of the playoffs.
No,
that's a bold prediction, but I'm confident in that prediction.
No, I don't think they are either.
Real quick before we go to commercial break.
That was a pretty long segment.
That was long, very long segment. We just went. I think both our segments have gone over 30 minutes today.
Well, we were heated. We got into it a little bit right there.
I hope I'm gonna have to go back and listen and hope it makes sense. I'm sure I'm gonna face palm a few times and go, "What the hell was I talking about there?" But you got me on a good day because I'm like I said, I'm half awake and just repeating myself. University of Michigan reportedly offers Jim Harbaugh a 6-year, $48 million contract, according to CBSSports.com. It was first turned down a while back, but now that the playoffs have been taken from the 49ers, apparently Harbaugh's interest has been resparked, plus by this huge contract offer.
Especially since he's probably going to get fired.
He's probably going to get fired, but I think he's using it as a contract tactic with his agent to get either a new deal with the 49ers or...
Which is a shame, because he's taken that team to the playoffs the last 3 seasons.
3 straight...
And deep into the playoffs.
Well, the NFC Championship game 3 straight years.
Right.
Or was it 4 straight years?
I think it was 3.
3 straight years. This would have been the 4th. Either way, very good team. They fell apart this year because Colin Kaepernick is Benjamin Button. That's the best explanation I've heard anybody say about Colin Kaepernick. He's the reverse Benjamin Button. He was really good, now he's bad.
Well, teams were able to game plan for him.
Yep.
You know, and
he has to make the adjustments. That's
he
all.
needs to make adjustments.
The NFLPA sued the NFL regarding Adrian Peterson. We'll find out more about that as it comes out, but they're just trying to set a precedent. They need to get this all hammered out and figure out what's going to happen the next time Adrian Peterson situation happens, so they know and they have the clear cut, well, this is what happened before. But as we saw last week, his appeal was denied, upheld, whatever. We'll get more on that as it comes. And Jay Cutler benched in Chicago. The interesting thing about that is he's guaranteed $15.5 million in 2015. So if they trade him, a team has to assume a $15.5 million cap hit. Sorry, Bills fans. It won't work out unless you get rid of C.J. Spiller, Marcel Darius, Jerry Hughes. Let them all walk. That's a pretty big deal. I mean, Spiller's probably going to end up gone, but Darius and Hughes, I hope not. But if they cut him, it's like a $20 million cap hit next season for a cap loss for them. So we'll see what happens there. But also, real quick again before we go to break, our picks. We all have Jacksonville tonight. But as for our other picks, check out GearNetwork.com. Check out the Facebook and our Twitter, and we'll have that out shortly for you as soon as we get the picks finalized. Hopefully you're still stuck around with us. I know we're hitting deep in the podcast right now, but hopefully Perez and I made some sense in that segment. And
I know I made sense.
Well, in your own head you make sense.
I always make sense.
I'm sure you do.
In my head.
I'm going to smack the out of you.
Good luck with that.
I may not be alive when we get back from commercial break here on the Better Alive Than Dead podcast, but someone will be here to wrap the things up for you.
That's right.
Right after this.
Hey, gang, the first round of your fantasy playoffs are over, and if you're like me, you had Peyton Manning, and he screwed you, and your brother-in-law beat you, and now you're in a consolation round, and you don't really care. Well, I'll give you something that you can care about, and that is GearNetwork.com's partnership with FanDuel. Visit GearNetwork.com/FanDuel, or click on the link on the top of the page, and scroll down and select FanDuel, and access it through there. You could be entered into 1-week fantasy football leagues. There's still a regular season going on, so go on and get in on that money, honey, because if you're like me, you lost some money in your regular standard league, which sucks. But what doesn't suck is the opportunity to win cash money every week. And fast, too. They don't screw you like PayPal and eBay do. Again, GearNetwork.com/FanDuel. Do it. A successful product does not become a successful product on its own. Look at the Gear Radio Network, for example. We're a prime example. We had a lot of help getting here, and we can help you get where you want to go to. Advertising rates are very low to start off here on the Gear Radio Network. Visit us at GearNetwork.com. Click on the contact link to send us an email, and we can work out the details. Again, advertise your product across all of the forums at a low rate here on the Gear Radio Network.
Back here on the Better Live Than Dead podcast.
Hey, what's up, peoples?
I am not dead.
I let him live.
Perez did not kill me. That was nice of him. Real quick, I want to mention, too, first off, it's a holiday season. There's still time before Christmas. Amazon.com through Gear Network. Help us out. Help you shop. We get a little bit of the cut of your funds that you spend. Thankfully for Amazon being an awesome partner. Also, GearNetwork.com. You can go to iTunes off our webpage and you can buy songs. And the same thing happens, or you get a little bit of cutback from the funds you spend. I know I did the same with... I personally couldn't get iTunes to work through GearNetwork.com, which annoyed the hell out of me at 2 o'clock this morning, or 1 o'clock this morning before I went to bed. But I bought the newest EP from Real Big Fish, the Happy Scala Days, which has been our bumps this afternoon. They're a lot of fun. I sat up last night and listened to it. There's nothing like Grandma got run over by a reindeer in ska. It's awesome. It sounds great, but
that's hilarious.
Like I said last segment, hopefully you stuck around. Sorry if we either pissed you off or didn't make any sense last segment. I'm going to go back and listen to it. I'm sure it's fine.
Hey, listen, if I piss someone off, I don't really care.
I like to be hard on myself sometimes, and sometimes I just talk, and then I go back, and I think to myself, I didn't make much sense, and I go back, and I'm like...
They should listen to it just so I can piss them off.
I made a lot of sense, actually, so... Perez has to go to work. I have to go get ready for work.
Yes.
So I just want to say thank you to first off.
You know what? Hold on a second. There was something I wanted to talk with you. Sorry. I want to cut you off real quick. You don't really cut me off.
I do it all the time to you.
Right. So I'm going to cut you off real quick. I got one quick subject I want to talk about real quick.
Okay.
Then we can end it. Back to the NFL.
Okay.
What do you think about this whole situation with Ray McDonald being cut by the 49ers?
I had that written down. I didn't put it in. It's long overdue.
Well, yes, he got arrested in the offseason, right?
He got arrested during this. Yeah, it was the offseason.
It was the offseason.
But they waited, but because the 49ers were still in playoff contention, he's one of their best defensive players.
Well, they waited, but there was no charges pressed. Actually, the charges were dropped.
That's because the cop, I believe, they have like a handler.
Right.
The 49ers do, who works in the department.
Right.
And he kind of just made it go away.
Okay. Well, no. The lady said that nothing happened.
Yeah, that was.
But let me ask you a question.
They made it go away.
So now there's another charge against them, and
an allegation, I believe.
Allegation, yeah.
Yes.
Nothing has happened. They're looking into it, but the 49ers cut him. Adios. Goodbye. Now, when all this stuff started happening earlier in the season, the NFL passed a policy where you get a 6-game suspension. Well, how do you feel about them not following their new policy? Once again, following the policy of their own.
With the domestic violence, it was because it was dropped. They didn't charge him because they will only. I think now the NFL is kind of getting it, where they won't suspend you until you're charged.
Okay,
but they won't let you play.
Right. Well, this guy's still going to get paid.
Well, I believe Ray McDonald still played too. He was the one that didn't because the facts weren't as cut and dry. And like I said, it was that whole handler situation, at least from what I was reading, if I'm remember correctly, where they kind of made it go away.
Right.
So he kept playing, but it seemed like this was kind of the last straw with him. And if he's convicted, I mean, he should be suspended.
No, if he's convicted, he should go to jail.
Absolutely.
But if it didn't happen, then he should be able to play again.
But I mean, if he's getting cut, if they cut him,
they cut him. He's out.
If they cut him on the spot like that, there's got to be more to it.
Maybe we'll find out.
Well,
I just think it's interesting that they didn't really follow the new NFL guidelines.
I'm glad. This sounds terrible, but I'm glad they did follow their guidelines. In terms of, they said if you are convicted, like Ray Rice was not convicted, but we all know that was just a muddled mess, and he's back.
Yes,
he's a free agent now.
Right.
And with Adrian Peterson pled out, so he served the time already, but they're going to make him serve more time. So I get why he's still out, but it doesn't make much sense to why they keep suspending him. But with that situation, he was not convicted, and if he was convicted or pled out, there's some form of he did something.
Right.
So then you suspend him, but he didn't, because we've seen before the NFL all the time goes, you know what, we think we know what you did, so you're not going to play.
Right.
Because that's what they did before with Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson.
True.
So now they're trying to tiptoe the fine line and make sure they have hard evidence or a conviction before.
Right.
Like with Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy was convicted, was appealing a sentence, has yet to play a football game since.
Right.
I mean, obviously after he was, he played a few games and they put him on the exempt list and said, you're not coming back.
You think this guy's going to sue?
What is he going to sue for? I mean, he probably could, but I don't see what grounds I raped a girl, so I'm going to sue you for firing me.
Well, it's an allegation right now. There's no concrete evidence that he did that. See, and that's the problem with America. Listen, I'm going to preface what I'm about to say with this.
It's a hot take, everybody.
If you rape a girl, you deserve to get sent to prison and get raped by really big dudes. Okay?
Fair enough.
Rape is wrong. That's just, like, you get your balls chopped off. Like, rape is wrong.
Yeah.
Okay? But, now with me saying that, the problem with this country right now is that you're guilty before being proven innocent.
That's the National Football League in a nutshell.
And in the land, it's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. So if this guy, if it comes out that he got fired, essentially, and he didn't do what they said, then he has a right to sue for his money or sue to get back on the field or whatever. They have to reinstate him.
Well, I'm sure if he's found innocent and cleared, I'm sure that someone will pick him up.
Yes.
But I think more or less right now, before we know anything, it's just because there's just so much bad PR coming from him that they had no choice.
Now, with that being said, will you NFL players clean up your act, please? Thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye.
By the way, Perez, next time you want to talk about that things like the playoffs, let me know. I'll do research. I'll get stats and stuff. I don't know what the hell's like something stuck on my tooth right now. I'm trying to talk.
I'm sitting here watching Ryan pick his teeth while he's talking. I'm like, what's he doing?
Stuck on the bottom of my tooth. My front tooth. Just annoying the crap out of me.
Okay.
Only one curse word this week. Well, two, but I can't find the other one, so it's two. Only two this week. If you can find it, let me know, because I can't. But yeah, next time you want to talk, that's why I always tell you, if you got something to talk about, let me know, because I'll do the research. I mean, that's why we talked a lot about baseball this week, because I really didn't have much to talk about.
Yeah, but I find that when I just kind of throw it at you, it's funner.
I do
more fun, because you like to go get all the stats, and then it kind of waters down your responses.
It's because I like to be diplomatic about things.
Yeah, not me. I just want to go at it.
Here is why.
Right.
But I knew the stat about the one or two teams.
Yeah.
Plus
I just,
smartphone here. So.
I prefer pure debate.
A masturbate?
No, pure.
Perez likes to masturbate.
You're so funny.
I'm here all week, everybody.
Get the lobster.
I want to say thank you to Tony for making that Fortune Studios for making that funny bumper. That feels like it happened years ago at this point. But we should be back next week. I don't see why we wouldn't get kicked off the air for this.
For what? What do we do? Nothing.
I feel like when we have podcasts during the week, we're just on a different level of just odd. It's just a weird.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. You're over there falling asleep and stuff, dude. You need to go get some sleep or something.
I just gotta go take a shower and go to work. And
there you go.
That'll wake me up. I just gotta. I'm starting off slow today.
It's all good.
I'm gonna go eat some Fruity Pebbles.
I like Fruity Pebbles.
They're delicious. I've already eaten half the box in one day.
That's a lot of Fruity Pebbles in one day, dude. Holy cow. Well, I'm surprised you're sleepy. You think you would have all that big sugar rush right now.
No, I eat this here and I'm just kind of
Nice.
That's just what happens now, man. I stopped ingesting sugar like it's my job, and now when I have sugar, it just makes me tired.
That's kind of weird.
I'm a weird human. I'm very interesting.
It's true.
But thank you to John, Gear Network, for remaining to allow us to ramble about whatever we want to talk about, whether it's Fruity Pebbles, whether we yell about the same, whether Perez and I are yelling at each other for 15 straight minutes and we're saying the same exact thing for 15 straight minutes. Who cares?
That's right.
That's what we're here for.
That's right.
Enjoy Thursday Night Football. Game of the year.
As much as you can.
It probably will end up being an interesting game.
It'll be interesting. Yeah, it probably will be.
Because when you have two really good teams, it's really good, or when you have two really bad teams, it's really good. Because they're usually, the game is good because they're so bad.
Right.
But besides that, I'm trying to think. I think I hit everything. Thank you to everybody listening to the podcast.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks
Keep listening.
For sticking around. I mean, right now, I know when the podcast is up, it'll be different, but right now, we've talked for over an hour and a half, just talking. This is the longest podcast we've ever done.
Hey, well, that's all right.
So.
I was in the car the other day having a cigar like at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I listened to last week's episode, and I was sitting there laughing.
Well, hopefully the same thing happens with this week. I'm actually going to go listen to this podcast here shortly, and I'll text you.
I think it was a very entertaining podcast.
Very good. We did a good job, if I may say so myself.
All right, well, peoples, have a good week. Thanks for listening.
We are Better
Thanks
Live.
to everybody.
We are Better Live Than Dead.
You're not.
Have a good week. Tune in next week. We'll have some fun Christmas stuff because next week is Christmas already. Well, it'll already have been Christmas.
Kind of crazy to think we're going into 2015.
It is. But you know what's the best part about next Saturday?
Other than us.
Not this Saturday.
Saturday. We're going to have our podcast, obviously.
We're going to have Better Live Than Dead in the morning.
And then we're going to be on...
And then we're headed to the Gear Network headquarters to have a mass podcast. Which should be... It'll just end up being John and Dawn yelling at each other and Perez and myself yelling at each other, and we'll just...
It's going to be a very entertaining podcast.
My God, it's going to be so much fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
Stick around for more of the Better Live Than Dead podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great week. We will see you...
Well, don't stick around today, because we're ending.
No, yeah, we're leaving. Go do something. Don't sit at the computer for another week waiting for us to come back. But have a good week. Enjoy yourself. Don't have too much fun. Have a great Christmas, because like I said, we'll be back next week.
Oh, yes,
Christmas.
Merry.
So I don't feel so bad doing all the Christmas music this week. Because,
have a lot of eggnog and stuff.
Yeah. I got to work on Christmas, but I'm going to get paid double time.
I'm sorry. I don't got to work.
It's going to be so easy.
That's
I'm
true.
I'm going to get paid $18 an hour or $19 an hour to sit around and watch Netflix.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's awesome.
No doubt.
Anyways, before I get myself fired from both jobs, the Gear Network and my hotel job.
Later, peoples.
I'm going to shut up. Have a good one, everybody.